Well, I've been keeping it under wraps for a while, but I joined MAD this season, as you can see right here, and I kind of kept it a secret because I didn't really think that this season was very interesting, and I just didn't feel like making GvG content. But this is one of the most fun matches I have ever had in Guild versus Guild, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Now, you might see the score here. It says 17 minutes. This is wrong. The match has ended. Okay, they cannot attack. We obviously don't have any attacks. So effectively, we have won. And by the score, you can tell that it was really freaking close. And I actually didn't mind this GvG at all. Now, this GvG had a lot of things that really set it apart from the other ones for Gauntlet. The main thing is, you may notice that basically every defense is crippled. And most of them did not get any wins. There are very few that got any wins. Now, this is because of the new Demon Soldier changes and the new Demon Captor test for getting 160k, which made a lot of people have flexibility with their attacks. So it was actually incredibly rare to see defenses get any wins. I didn't get a win. This entire team is A5. It's not built the best. I just got it his exclusive after the match even started, so that didn't help. But I just want to share with you guys some of the attacks and some of the reasons why we won. And I mean, at the end of the day, looks like Dragonshire became our training dummies. I'm just kidding, obviously. Anyways, let's get into it. So first of all, I had a couple defenses. We were running a couple prominent defenses. This was one of them. This was like the third option that we had, and ultimately it did have a pretty big weakness. I was hit. Obviously I have Ollie 5, I have decent gear on this account, so I got hit by some of their stronger players. Radagast barely ever loses. He hit me with a flame captain because almost every attack you're going to see has a captain, but I'll show you some really interesting ones that didn't use captains. Basically, they send these archers to feed the Kirby, the Worm, the Chomper, the Grotesque Fiend, whatever you call it. Then the rats go in to feed it. And Cadgrim, before the Pantheon update that buffed Demon Soldiers by a ton, would not have died here. But with the changes, these Chompers are so strong that they kind of go through anything. So even if I had a little bit of a better team against these, I probably would have lost anyways, right? Because they would have hit me with some of their stronger BP, they would have hit me with a captain. If not a Chaos Captain, they would have hit me with a Glacius, which is the Frost Captain. So that was a big thing there. And then the other team, I'm not even going to show it because it's embarrassing. This is really risky to run because you can get flown, and I got flown. I was just running it because the second teams for this were really bad. Now, some other defenses we ran were these ones. So this was the second option that we had. This was a little bit better against the Grotesque Fiend, a little bit more dangerous towards the Glacius. I'll explain why it being weak to Glacius didn't really matter here in a second. But here we have Kozalit, who has great awakenings, great gear, and he got beat by Ron using a swarm strategy. So like I said, we're going to keep going back to it. The Pantheon changes. This one's really cool because it doesn't use a captain at all, right? So this was one way to beat this team. Now, it didn't work every time. Occasionally, there would be issues towards the end where Valara would actually ult, and it would chain the lightning and kill the things at the portal. So that's a way that a win was given. As you could see, Ron barely wins. This attack should not have worked, but it did because, well, they're very strong right now. So that's one way that that was beaten. So these are kind of the really strong teams, the Airless and the Cadgrim. We didn't really have any second teams hold up much at all. Really, the only ones that held up was like Sandra over here, who got pretty lucky. We had maybe one or two others. But the big defense that was really holding up for towers is this one. You're going to see that they had a ton of these on their side. So here we got Cadgrim, Dracula, Ezerith, and Valise with Airless. This is very immune to a lot of things. So as you can see here with Cashman, level 12 Grotesque Fiend, level 3 Chaos Captain. It doesn't matter, it still holds strong even after all of the buffs recently. As you can see, this is how the strategy goes. Basically, you bait out Dracula, because Dracula is the biggest threat to the Fiend. And then you try to get it so that he's able to heal before he gets anti-healed, like he does right there. And then, ideally, around this point, Khadgrim would already be dead at least one time. Then you can follow up with the second Grotesque Fiend and fully kill him, or you just lose, right? And then you can finish off with the Flame Captain, which counts as 2 damage, and then the Grotesque Fiend counts as 1. That's a full damage. But if you don't kill Khadgrim, you can't do anything about it, right? So that was one way that this was beat, but Madge held very well. And then the other way was, well, I guess they didn't try it. I'll show one of our attacks on their side. You could beat it with a Frost Captain as well. Now, another defense that held really, really well was Cobalt. So for context, we only won because of Cobalt. For not only defense, but offense. For context, as you can see, there's neck and neck, we almost lost. Cobalt is one of the only people we have that got the new captain, okay? And he was able to use it at the end because he was busy, came back in the last like 10 minutes and got a full tick of damage when there was like nothing left that we thought was beatable. Not only that, he held off the strongest attackers in Dragonshire on his own and took them down. So I just want to show you guys one of the attacks. This was with a Chaos Captain. Now, Airmax, Diao-Chen Airmax, beat it using, I think, like a Frost Pump, or maybe he rocked Pope. For some reason, Dara didn't do the attack that worked and just threw a normal attack, and it lost. So this was neck and neck. If they won this attack, we lose. And they failed the last second. So we were all just hanging out and stressing so bad. And then Cobalt, the legend that he is, with friggin' HP subs on most of his damage dealers, holds with Khadgrim, kills the Grotesque Fiend fast enough so they don't stack on top of each other and do too much damage. And he, the madman, holds against their strongest attackers. That was freaking insane. And the team that he beat was one of the only teams left. So I'm going to show the teams that were left. Then I'm going to go over some of the no captain attacks and some of the attacks that I did and I had a hand in, and kind of explain those. And that should be it. Oh, and maybe I'll explain why we won, because there's a couple other things. That is why. So first of all, with this team is very difficult, okay? They are running 3 of these. 2 of these are very easy, relatively. Artisan got 0-6, shout out Artisan, fellow content creator. And then Bobby barely survived 1 hit, but the rest of them, he failed, right? And the way that this works, let's show Artisan, fellow CC, why not? So basically, here's an attack that I did. Panicked was busy, so I did his attacks. Panicked has really high BP, great Demon Soldier levels, and is incredibly strong, right? I did this attack, like I said, and it was not that nerve-wracking. Basically, you send the Fool, you send the Ice Tank, not only to stall the Fool, not only bait the ult, but also if you are strong enough, which is pretty uncommon, but if you are, maybe it could push through a little bit later. Then you send Glacius and the Ice Tank, hoping for some freezes. You send the Ice Dog to either get through, help freeze, or just straight up add block. The Ice Dogs, by the way, are a little immune to CC, and it pushes everything through, and you try to get 3 damage. That is the entire attack. This team is very, very strong, okay? But the only one that really was difficult was Dara. So Dara is basically that attack, but it held everything back, okay? Cobalt, in the last like 10 minutes, sends it with the new captain, which, if anyone knows, Cobalt's probably the most deserving person to pull a new captain. He used it last second with help from shout out Gideonic for not having any attacks left, but still giving the template for this. And he goes in like a madman on practice, could not get more than 2 through, and we needed 3 damage to win, and he sends them all through, and we got the full hit, which is crazy on like the team that we were struggling with the most. Kind of crazy. Now, apart from that, there were a couple of other defenses that we struggled with very heavily. Number 1, this team. This team, eventually, I had to call in some help from my friends in Rising Horde, which is my second guild. I'm in both guilds. I have 2 accounts, both very good guilds. And I had to ask for help. So shout out Gort specifically. And we came up with this strat. Well, I say we, but mostly him. Basically, we originally beat this by a Glacius attack, but it was inconsistent, required high BP, and also whenever you use a captain, you can't use a captain for anything else, right? And when Glacius is good against every defense this season, because of the Demon Soldier Pantheon changes, it causes issues, right? But you don't need a captain for this. So basically, you send destroyers, you send the Fool to keep it alive, you send the Speedsters to get it to the tank. And as long as the destroyers kill, you win. Now, Alexandros does not have an A5 Neja. This works on an A5 Neja as well. Then you send the ice tanks, and then you dog your way through the entire thing, and you pray that you don't get deleted by Ingrid, basically. So that is how that attack works, right? So we figured that out towards the end, and we got some wins on those ones. There's still 10 HP left, just because it was more efficient to go for a full amount of damage. If we figured that out earlier in the match, instead of focusing on just glaciusing it, we would have done better. Another one that survived is this team. So here is Ron. Ron has by far the best version of this team that they had. They had a lot of these. So as you can see, this is actually Mango. They also had one over here. They had like 5 more of these, right? These were the ones that they ran the most. And the only bit of damage we got was, once again, Cobalt at the end. If he missed any points of damage, we lose the whole thing. He went in with the new captain, which was an attack that they actually showed us by beating some of our better ones using this attack. So I can't say we made the strat. We didn't. They made the strat. And as you can see, you know, basically the new captain, all you got to know about it, you can pick which form is damage reducing. So this is, it reduces magic damage. Basically, it reduces the damage taken by your allies. And when you click the button down here, which you have to click a specific time, it makes you even more immune to damage. So basically, you just build up enough block, wait until Azareth is down, then you ult to soak up his ultimate, and you go through. So as you can see, that is 2 dogs through. By the way, the Demon Soldier level is like level 16 dogs or some BS, and it still didn't make it fully through. That's how good that team was, right? That was really good as well. Now, there were some other people that got quite a few wins, but those are the ones I'm going to show. Now, some that we actually figured out a little bit is these Durza ones. So these Durza ones were undeniably better than ours for second team. This team is actually very good for a second team. So you guys who don't know, especially with the new Demon Soldier changes, which I'm saying a lot, but it's important. These teams cannot work with Carnelian because you either captain it, you high BP it, you figure out a strategy, and the Demon Soldier is just too strong. But this works very well, okay? So flying was a big issue for us with some of the ones we were running. This is immune to flying. Durza here, if he's A3, gives Rage Regen, which is a big thing you're missing. Cyrus here, almost unkillable because of the Durza. And Cyrus has a bug where he stays alive, and it causes a bunch of issues. But one of the attacks that I did, which is helped by some Rising Horde people, we wouldn't have found it without, figured this out. So this requires no captain, no specific BP requirements, even on the strongest of these teams. And this is mostly what I hit with my account. So here, as you can see, you mage, then you fool, mini fool, then you do pharaohs, you do another batch of pharaohs, you do shadow casters or the girls for extra block, Then you can send two spiders to push through, dogs, and as long as Valara doesn't get her rage up, which she shouldn't, even with an A3 Durza giving rage regen, you can just push through and you win. Now, a big thing there that you might have noticed is Neja actually died and blew up, which pushes my dogs and all of my units away and makes things potentially go wrong. But if you're strong enough and you have the BP, you could power through, and it doesn't really matter. That was really, really big. Also, I have to give a shout out here because I forgot to mention it. Buff Kagiri, serve, whatever you call him, he probably had the best tower performance. 4 wins on big hitters. These are all Chaos Captains, and he held through everyone to the point where they just straight up avoided him at the end. Shout out to him. Anyways, now there's some other defenses, like this one got swarmed. There's more Durza teams. There's some where it was broke here and it was really easy, right? There's more teams that went into this. There's this really cool one, which I actually did on my alt account, which I never play. It's by far the weakest account in here. I went 4-0 on this thing. Don't know how. Let me just show off one attack before I go on Mazza. Mazza has this team, 3 units, Ice Mage, Cheese It. There were 2 teams like this, and I took both down because I needed the attack. Anyways, this was a great match, was a lot of fun, and through this entire match, I realized 2 things. Number 1, captain attacks are incredibly brain dead, incredibly boring, and just straight lame, especially with the new demon changes. Demon captains are worse than usual. They are more obnoxious and more annoying, and I hate using them, and I hate seeing them. Right? Especially with the Pantheon changes making them stronger, I think it was a worth experience because of that. But what wasn't a worth experience is the no captain attacks. The captain attacks like this. The captain attacks against the Durza teams, right? These attacks, I actually really enjoyed. I really enjoyed these attacks. Now, I would honestly go so far to say that I would like normal demon soldiers to be buffed a little bit, because currently defenses have been power crept really high with Airless, Cadgrim, Valara, Neja. You know, these are all newer heroes. They weren't in the game before, where defenses became too strong, and to balance it, they added the Grotesque Fiend, they added the new soldiers, they added the captains, but they did it the wrong way. So now GvG is a lot worse off, especially when you buff the hell out of them like this. But I think if the normal soldiers are buffed and the captains just are out of the picture, I actually had a lot of fun with those teams. So I both had no fun and I had a lot of fun. And Dragonshire did this very well. This was very much a war of consistency, and we would have lost, honestly. We were down by like 8-10 attacks until the end. But at the end of the day, when you can't hit bots and you have to hit real people, people tend to fall apart with their attacks near the end. Instead of just hitting bots and being like, oh, I have more attacks than you, we already have taken your strats and we've used them. When there's no bots, it means, well, you gotta beat the Cobalts, you gotta beat the Serfs, you gotta beat freaking Mage, and that's just not something that can happen. So, with that being said, very close, and massive GGs. Very well played by the other side. Very well played by Mad. It was a lot of fun, like I said. And I think ultimately, ironically, what made us win... Here, let me claim these rewards. Cool chat bubble. Ironically, what made us win is they got luckier with captain drops last season. Now, hear me out here. Hear me out here. Captain drops are very rare, okay? And I don't have them. A lot of us do not have them. Never pulled them. But with the 160k chests, we actually have captains now. And in Gauntlet, where there's only 4 attacks, 3 of them can be captains, and no captain attacks are still possible, we're able to, obviously, work around it. But there were certain defenses, like those Dracula Ezra themes, that were only easy if you had Glacius level 3 and all of the ice demons leveled alongside of them. And my theory is Dragonshire got so lucky with the Chaos Captain last season that they only had like 2 or 3 level 3 Glaciuses because they had already leveled their Slaughter Captains to level 3 and they didn't have enough Void Cores to level them both. So I think in a weird way, our less luck on Captains made us win because Glacius was far better for this Gauntlet. Anyways, that is it. Once again, big props to both sides. Was once again really cool, very fun, and yeah, that's it for me. Destined signing out.